All right, joining us today is Austen Lane, who fights Vitor Petrino at UFC Nashville. That fight is on July 12th. So, Austin, before we get started talking about the fight and stuff,
Yeah,
last time I had you on, it was just before the NFL draft, and
yeah,
you said you needed the Jaguars to take a wideout. You wanted them to take some wide receiver help.
yeah,
They
yeah.
move up, they get Travis Hunter. Did it go as good as you could possibly imagine?
I mean, Daniel, let's be honest, man. Let's call a spade a spade. It went better than I thought it was going to be, right? Because, when you talk about James Gladstone, a first-time GM, you talk about Tony Baselli, his first year at EVP, and then obviously a first-year coach in Liam Cohen. They made the biggest possible splash by trading some draft capital with Cleveland, and getting really, the unicorn, as they're calling him, of the draft, and Travis Hunter, not only at wide receiver, but probably going to play some defensive back as well.
Yeah, I love it. I love the move. What are you giving me for the over under on wins in the coming year?
Oh man, you put me on the spot there. I mean, Houston's still, I think, the toast of the division. You have Tennessee, who's kind of rebuilding with a new quarterback in Cam Ward. You have Indianapolis, who has some good pieces, but like, is it Anthony Richardson? So, you got to be competitive in your division to have a shot to go to the playoffs. I think the Jaguars are just on the outside of that. So go ahead and give me, I think 8 wins. I think 8 wins would be respectable, but I'm expecting 7 to 8, and surprisingly, maybe 9.
I love it. I love it. All
Yeah,
right. Well, let's get to talking about the fights. So,
yeah,
obviously, I got to talk about your last fight. You
mhm,
looked absolutely great in the first round. Every
yeah,
judge had you winning it against Mario Pizzo.
yeah.
You got caught. So,
Yep.
talk to me about the lessons walking away from that one. What did we feel like we learned from it?
Yeah, man. So that was a lot of people don't know this, but that was a very emotional fight for me. My stepdad, who I consider my real dad, he raised me. That Monday of fight week, he got in a very serious ski accident. Ended up breaking his skull in 5 spots,
Oh my
broke his
God.
spine, broke his neck, and broke his heel as well. So he didn't wake up till Thursday, and there was talks like whether he's going to wake up or not. So I was kind of dealing with that for fight
God.
week. And then unfortunately, when it was wild, man. Like obviously, I wasn't expecting that, and that's not the reason why I lost. So don't get it twisted at all. But basically, what it came down to is I was trying to get out of there as quickly as possible. So when I dropped him in that first round, it was just literally like a really quick right, zero power behind it. But I was surprised that it dropped him just because he had his hands up and everything. I'm like, okay. So as long as I connect, it's gonna be over. So like that was in the back of my mind the whole time. So then we go back to the stool, and I had my coach, Coach Payompa, who's a great coach from American Top Team. He even told me, he's like, dude, the first minute or so, first 2 minutes, just be relaxed because he's gonna try to come out and swing and try to get that round back. And I heard it. But for whatever reason, man, in that moment, and I take pride in being very present. I wasn't present, and I didn't listen to my coaches. So when you reflect on that, the preparation was there, the training was there. It was just not me, me not executing. And whether it was just, the mental things that I was going through, whether it's just me not listening, whatever the case may be, I thought outside myself, and I can't do that. So, obviously a big focus of this camp now is, being sound, being present at all times, and I'm very excited to showcase what I've learned.
I love that. I love it. So you felt like coming into this one, it was the mental side of things that needed more preparation. How much harder is that to hone in on in a training camp versus, knowing, I need to sharpen that right hand, or I need to keep my
Yeah.
defense up. Like, how much harder is it to know that it's more of a mental side that you need to sharpen?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Because we talk about mental, right? So it's not physical, it's not taxing, but at the same time, when you're talking about, how the brain operates, how you're thinking, like that takes a lot of work, and that takes a lot of self-reflection, and it takes a lot of honesty. And I think I've been able to do that this camp, So um it's wild how, from a casual fan that wants to watch a fight on the outside, it's like, okay, yeah, like these guys are going to war, but there's so much more intricacies of what's going through this fighter's head and everything. And I'm obviously still learning that, coming from a sport of football where, a play can last 5 to 7 seconds and it's all out chaos, to now a fight where it's 5 minutes around and you gotta pick your spots accordingly. It's a little different, man, but it's obviously a journey that I'm still learning, but I'm very excited to showcase what I've learned.
So let's talk about, the matchup here too.
Mhm.
You're getting Vitor Petrino, a guy who's moving up to heavyweight,
Yeah.
which brings its own unique challenges, right? Because obviously, sometimes you're in there with a heavyweight. We're talking size, we're talking
Mhm.
brutality, but this time we're talking speed and a little guy. And like, what is he going to look like with an
Mhm.
extra 40 pounds on his body? So, what have you done in terms of dissecting Petrino to sort of account for that?
Yeah, obviously, me and my team, we've kind of looked at what his tendencies are, what he likes to throw a lot. That this is a guy who's a little on the shorter side. He's got a decent reach though, but he still likes to throw wide. He likes to throw all his shots with power, and he's got some decent wrestling as well. So, we've been obviously addressing that here at American Top Team. But basically, what it comes down to, and it's what it's going to always come down to with me. It's I got to do what I got to do, right? I can sit here and pick Vitor Petrino apart and say, okay, this is his tendencies, this is what he's gonna do. But who knows, man? At heavyweight, his body may feel different. I mean, as someone who went from the Jacksonville Jaguars and he had to gain about 30 pounds in a couple months to go play for the Kansas City Chiefs. I know how taxing that can be on your body. I know how different it felt for my body to move, and obviously with Vitor, man, like I think he takes his training very seriously. I think if you look at his physique, like he's going to bring a lot of muscle to the cage. But even if it's quality muscle, sometimes that's going to move differently. So with me, man, it's just about doing what I can do, controlling what I can control, and then responding from there.
I love it. Now, you mentioned American Top Team a couple of times. Obviously, huge stable of fighters for you to work with down there.
Yeah.
Who are you sort of using as your Vitor Petrino, if it were?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a couple of guys there, man. For grappling purposes, Buchecha has been down there, man.
Ooh.
Who I thought, and I've told this story before, but dude, I thought he was just some like Russian like wrestling champion. Cause like me, like I'm kind of like the black sheep. Sometimes I feel like I'm American Top Team because I'm like the one of the only Americans that are like one of the bigger dudes. So like I remember the first time that we sparred, and like usually when it comes to takedowns, man, I'm really good at strong hips and everything and stuffing them, and he got me down. Like I stuffed the first thing, and he trained together. I'm like, oh damn, this Russian knows how to wrestle. And then he started doing some jujitsu. I'm like, all right, this guy knows jujitsu as well, bro. Then it turns out like after when I got my picture taken, because we took a group picture, and he got tagged in, and I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, this is Buchecha. This is the guy who's like, the two-time ADCC world champion. So getting some work in with him, man, has been great. But there's so many great guys there, man. I mean, Thiago Santos, Junior Dos Santos is there. Saeed, Renan Barra, like there's so many good guys there, man. So a lot of great looks, whether it's striking, whether it's wrestling, and obviously, you're only as good as your preparation is going to allow you to be, and I'm prepared.
All right. Well, all that preparation comes down on July 12th. You led me perfectly to my last question. I always like to end these things with a prediction. So, how's it going down in Nashville?
Violence, man. Violence in the Music City. That's all I'm gonna say about it. That's all I ever try to do. I mean, I don't want to give the prediction of like here's how it's gonna happen. All I know is that I'm gonna be in control. I'm gonna be calm, cool, and collected. Be a sniper, man, and wait for my shot.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. This has been Austen Lane, who fights Vitor Petrino, UFC Nashville. Once again, that fight July 12th. Austen, thank you so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Daniel, man, always a pleasure. Stay casual, dude. We'll check you down the road.